The best way to get an answer on the internet is not to ask a question, but to post the wrong answer. And that is what I successfully did in a previous video where I documented the terrible job I am doing trying to repair this portable ultrasound machine that my wife brought home from an animal shelter. So this thing has, if I can find it, a pretty large connector for a power plug, which I have learned from the helpful folks over at Ask Electronics on Reddit is called a 5-pin DIN connector. And that was fatiguing from years of plugging this thing in and removing the plug, and the machine would no longer power on. So the original plug was rocking back and forth, and the solder joints were clearly no longer connected. Not only that, I initially thought that it just needed to be resoldered to the board. If we look carefully at the front of this guy here, if I can get this to focus, there are these 2 pins on the front in addition to the 5 in the back. And I have not actually gotten on a multimeter to test yet to see if they are electrically connected to anything or if they are just purely for mechanical stability. So if you look at the side of this, you're pushing on this pretty big plug. There's a lot of torque. You don't want all your pins just in a line in the back. Those front 2 could kind of help anchor it. So again, haven't tested yet if those are electrical or just purely mechanical, but they were actually broken off internally in the port. So it wasn't just that the connections to the board were bad. This is kind of hard to point out and film at the same time. If you can kind of see where my thumbnail is right there, the top of those pins inside the connector was broken off. So again, after getting the helpful post from people on Reddit who are much friendlier than people who comment on YouTube, oddly enough, at least get Ask Electronics, was able to, again, you can see this is the old one where those front pins were broken off, find these things on YouTube, buy a new one, and where I did a terrible job was removing the old one from the board. So I attempted to desolder it, not very well. I have, let's see, a heat gun, a soldering iron, some of this solder tip cleaner stuff, some solder braid, one of those little, my workbench is a mess right now. I probably should have cleaned it before filming this video. Can't find it, but one of those little vacuum piston pen thingies where you push the button and it sucks the air up to help remove the solder. And what I believe is some lead-free solder. Anyway, I was able to do a messy job breaking the old one off, but was not able to get all of the solder out of the holes, and I think a couple of them I actually just wound up breaking the pins, so what's left of the pins is still soldered in there. So maybe 3 of the holes are clear right now. You can see some of these I can get something the whole way through. The other ones are stuck, and my attempts to get it out of there with the solder wick or the little pen thing have been unsuccessful. And what I can't tell, I think somebody commented on the last video, is that the pads themselves, again, now they look like a mess, might actually be delaminated or kind of shot. So I don't know if I can flip this over on the other side. There's where it was originally on the top. So again, completely butchered, terrible job. There were some comments on the previous video telling me that I should take it down or just put the tools down and walk away. Again, people on Reddit were surprisingly much nicer than people on YouTube for once. You don't usually expect that. Anyway, what I'm hoping for, if you're watching this video, is maybe some advice on whether this is salvageable at all, if I need different tools, if I should just give up and throw the whole thing in the trash, if there is anything I can do to kind of repair this, because this is a $30,000 piece of medical equipment, and the company quoted $20,000 to replace the entire motherboard because the power plug was loose. They would not do the repair just to go in there and replace the plug themselves. So I have potentially ruined it, but again, hoping for some helpful or maybe not so helpful, but commentary from people on the internet as to what I can do to fix this thing. So if you have a suggestion, go ahead and leave a comment, or if you just want to tell me I'm a moron and I should delete this video, you are welcome to go ahead and do that too. Thanks for your time.